thousands of tons of coconut shells into the sea, and the result was the top. Welcome to the latest issue of Top Secret. Imagine thousands of tons of coconut shells being thrown directly into the sea.
Was it a disaster or a miracle? A crazy decision stunned the world when the deadly sea mysteriously revived. Do you dare to uncover the truth behind this action? A disaster struck the peaceful sea region. On August 11, 2006,
a horrific disaster occurred in the Philippines, shaking the Coarse Sea, a small province in the country's central region. The oil tanker named Mount Solar 1, chartered by Petron Corporation, the leading oil refining and distribution company in the country, unexpectedly encountered an accident and sank deep into the seabed. Over 2 million liters of bunker fuel, a heavy type of oil used for ships, spilled onto the water surface, creating the largest oil spill disaster recorded in Philippine history. The consequences of this incident were severe, with over 1,500 hectares of local ecosystems heavily devastated.
Lush mangrove forests, rich seagrass beds, and precious coral reefs, treasures of this land, were deeply affected. However, a miracle occurred after 19 long, bitter years.
Coarse is now reborn, with pristine white sands sparkling under the sun, and fishermen returning to sea for their livelihood as in the old days. The secret behind this recovery lies in how Filipinos faced the disaster, a unique, unconventional but highly effective method, where coconut shells played a surprising and interesting role. It all started with a terrible destruction caused by the oil spill in the Coarse Sea. Tacolong Island, home to the National Marine Reserve, became the epicenter of the disaster, suffering heavier losses than anywhere else. The seawater was so contaminated that it was irreparable in the short term, forcing authorities to impose a complete ban on fishing. This decision, though necessary, was like a knife cutting off the sole livelihood of over 20,000 fishermen, people who had been connected to the sea for generations. They used to go out to sea daily, returning each night with full nets, but now could only stand watching the Dead Sea in despair. Not only that, the tourism industry, another important economic pillar of the island, also fell into stagnation. Beaches once bustling with tourists are now silent, covered in black oil. Economic losses were estimated at hundreds of billions of Philippine pesos, a huge figure for this small land where life was already not easy.
To bring Coarse back from the ruins of the disaster, it required not just money or time but also relentless effort and unity from many sides.
The recovery effort demanded perseverance, creativity, and solutions beyond ordinary imagination.
Fortunately, the people here were not alone in this fight.
Non-profit organizations from around the world came to assist, bringing valuable resources and experience. Philippine government agencies also quickly joined in, coordinating closely to develop an action plan. In addition, prestigious universities contributed by providing scientific knowledge and researching new ways to save the sea.
Together, they embarked on a long, arduous journey, yet one filled with hope and proud moments.
It was on this journey that a seemingly simple solution using coconut shells emerged. Becoming an unexpected highlight that completely changed the course of the fight against the oil spill in Coarse.
The strange method with human hair.
When the oil spill covered the sea surface, cleanup was not as easy as many mistakenly thought. Typically, to handle an oil spill, people must go through a series of complex steps. First, setting up barriers to prevent the oil from spreading, then using specialized machinery to suck the oil from the water surface.
Next, they use absorbents to collect the oil, and finally, treat the remaining residues on the seabed or shore.
But in Coarse, things were completely different. There were no large enough roads or favorable conditions to transport heavy machinery to the affected area.
Therefore, all work had to be done manually, without support from modern technology.
And in that seemingly deadlocked situation, an unexpected solution emerged. They began using human hair itself to block the spreading black oil.
It may sound unbelievable, even a bit strange, but this was not a far-fetched idea. To make it a reality, a large-scale campaign was launched across the Philippines. Authorities and citizens called on all barbershops, from small village salons to luxurious city shops, to contribute together. They collected cut hair, bundle by bundle, sent to Coarse as a desperate effort to save the dying sea.
The hair was then processed into floating barriers on the water surface, which people called booms. These barriers were released into the sea, forming natural fences to prevent the oil from spreading further, protecting uncontaminated areas. Science has proven that human hair has a special ability to absorb oil, thanks to its unique physical structure. When in contact with oil, hair not only absorbs but also holds the oil tightly in each strand, without swelling like sponges or out of. Moreover, hair is water resistant, lightweight, and floats well on the sea surface, making oil collection much more convenient. In fact, this method was not the first time it appeared.
Previously, in 2007,
The oil spill in San Francisco Bay also used human hair for cleanup, proving the effectiveness of this method. In the Philippines, experts calculated that about 12 tons of hair could absorb over 600,000 liters of oil, at an impressive rate of over 2 liters per minute.
that is an astonishing number.
Leading many to believe it could be the key to solving the disaster. However, after a period of application, they realized this method was not as perfect as expected. Human hair decomposes too slowly, raising concerns about leading long-term pollution in the environment. Moreover, many hair donations had previously been exposed to chemicals from hair care products like dyes or shampoos, increasing the risk of harm to the marine ecosystem. Ultimately, they decided to abandon this approach and switch to using other locally available natural materials. Coconut fronds, palm leaves, and other plant fibers became the new choices. These seemingly simple items were solving the cost issue, not harming nature, and easily decomposing after completing their task. Throughout a continuous year, rescue teams tirelessly collected approximately 282,000 bags of natural material, equivalent to over 2,100 tons, to create oil barriers along the coasts of Jemaras. Though labor-intensive and requiring immense human effort, this manual work yielded clear results. The coastline gradually became cleaner, and the water surface was step-by-step restored. Through this experience, they deeply understood that nature always holds miraculous solutions, as long as humans know how to exploit them at the right time and place.
But the story doesn't end there, as even stranger things await in the sea rescue efforts of the people of Jemaras.
Coconut shells to the rescue.
On July 25, 2023, another serious incident occurred in Philippine waters, this time in Bataan province.
A Philippine-flagged oil tanker carrying over 1.4 million liters of industrial fuel suddenly capsized and sank to the seabed. Just a few months earlier, a similar accident had taken place near Oriental Mindoro province, causing concern about the safety of these waters.
Notably, in both disasters, coconut shells emerged as unexpected saviors in the efforts to clean the sea. Not the half shells tied to ropes as many might imagine, but core, the fibrous husk material extracted during rope or other handicraft production.
People spread core on the oil slick surface and witnessed it quickly absorb the oil and be easily scooped up with simple nets or tools. The capability of core truly amazed many. Just 1 kilogram of core can absorb 3.5 to 4.5 kilograms of crude oil, an impressive figure for such a seemingly ordinary material.
After absorption, the core is pressed to extract the oil, and even better, it can be reused without losing effectiveness.
Importantly, the oil pressed from core retains its quality without contamination, while the core itself is completely non-toxic to the environment. This is far different from using human hair before, which posed risks like slow decomposition or chemical contamination. Not stopping there, from coconut shells, people also created an oil-absorbent powder named Spyface. This powder is not only effective at handling oil spills but also used in households to quickly and efficiently
Chemicals or other oils.
Besides core, activated carbon made from coconut shells also plays a crucial role in environmental cleanup. Thanks to its large surface area and microporous structure, activated carbon has superior absorption capacity, helping remove oil and other pollutants. However, the drawback is that collecting the carbon after use is quite difficult because the small particles easily disperse in water.
Nevertheless, these coconut shell products have proven that they are not just a sea rescue
solution but also a cheap, accessible natural treasure. In the Philippines, where coconut trees grow everywhere from inland to coastlines, utilizing coconut shells becomes an extremely reasonable and smart choice. Local people skillfully turned core into barrier buoys, placing them around oil-slick areas or along the coastline. These buoys both absorb oil and form barriers to prevent oil from spreading, protecting unaffected water areas. This method is not only effective but also simple, not requiring complex technology or high costs. But notably, the value of coconut shells doesn't stop in the Philippines. The whole world can learn from the excellent properties of this material. Whenever an oil spill occurs, the most important thing is to act quickly to contain and collect the oil, saving the threatened ecosystem. While many synthetic materials like polypropylene are non-biodegradable and can even cause additional pollution, core stands out with its good absorption, natural biodegradability, and environmental friendliness. Thus, from something seemingly waste, coconut shells have become a symbol of creativity and hope in the fight to protect the ocean from oil spill disasters. The world's headache with oil spills. Looking broadly, oil spills are not just an isolated issue for the Philippines but have become a major challenge worldwide. In 2024, the planet witnessed a total of 6 major oil spills with volumes over 700 tons each, along with 4 medium-scale spills from 7 to 700 tons, all caused by oil tankers. These incidents were mainly concentrated in South America, Asia, and Europe, showing that no place is truly safe from this hazard. On average, the world faces 7.4 oil spills per year, a slight increase compared to the previous decade. In total, approximately 10,000 tons of oil were spilled into the environment from these acts. Although compared to 22 to 30 years ago, the amount of spilled oil has significantly decreased, this figure is still alarming.
If not cleaned up promptly, it could turn into a massive threat to nature.
The Deepwater Horizon incident in 2010 in the Gulf of Mexico is the most pivotal example. Nearly 800 million liters of crude oil spilled into the sea, with 8.5 million liters leaking daily, making this the largest oil spill disaster ever recorded. Looking back at history, the technology for handling oil spills from the Exxon Valdez in 1989 to Deepwater Horizon has not seen many significant advancements. People still rely on familiar methods such as using skimmers to collect oil, filters to separate oil from water, or utilizing natural materials for absorption. However, finding a solution that is both sustainable, reusable, and effective for both floating oil on the water surface and sunken oil at the seabed is not easy. Only recently has a new hope emerged from the Argonne laboratory with the invention called Oleo Sponge. This sponge can absorb oil up to 90 times its weight, then be squeezed to extract the oil and reused multiple times without harming the environment. Nevertheless, coconut coir, despite having lower absorption capacity, is still notable for its availability and eco-friendly.
Additionally, modern oil skimmers are also being improved.
For example, Extreme Spill Technologies equipment can operate effectively even in waves over 3 meters high in the darkness of late night, offering new hope in the fight against oil spills. However, not every place in the world has coconuts readily available like in the Philippines. In remote, isolated areas where coconut trees do not grow, people must seek other solutions. The Sea Swarm robot developed by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology is one of the notable inventions. This robot uses a solar-powered conveyor belt to collect oil, capable of carrying 20 times its own weight in oil. Although introduced over 10 years ago, this technology has not yet been widely applied in real life, leading many to question its feasibility. Meanwhile, Norway has chosen a completely different and somewhat peculiar approach. Annually, they intentionally spill oil into the North Sea as part of large-scale drills. The purpose is not to cause harm, but to test response skills in the latest technologies in handling oil spills.
For Norway, the country with a strong oil industry, this is like preparing in advance for potential risks, protecting the environment in a unique way.
Although the method may surprise outsiders, it reflects their seriousness in facing oil spill disasters, turning practical lessons into strength to protect the seas.
Lessons from nature and humans.
From using human hair and coconut shells to modern robots, humans have never stopped striving to find ways to cope with oil spill disasters. These initiatives demonstrate humanity's persistence and creativity in protecting the environment against increasingly severe threats. However, not every solution yields the expected results, and sometimes even creates new problems. After the Deepwater Horizon incident in the Gulf of Mexico, over 6.8 million liters of coarse dispersant were poured into the sea in hopes of accelerating the oil.
Initially, people believed this was an effective way to handle the massive oil spill. But research from Chokria University later revealed a concerning truth.
Coarses, instead of helping, reduce the population of beneficial bacteria, natural organisms that specialize in degrading oil. The proportion of beneficial bacteria dropped from 42% to near initial levels, almost neutralizing the ocean's self-cleaning. Meanwhile, another group of bacteria thrived because they adapted better to the dispersant than to the oil, significantly slowing down the degradation process.
Scientists worry that up to half of the oil from that disaster may still lie silently at the seabed, continuing to quietly threaten marine life.
But the story isn't just about saving the water surface or marine ecosystems. The direct victims of oil spills are also the ocean-dwelling animals, severely affected by the disaster. In 2021, in Israel, 11 rare green sea turtles were found in a pitiful state, their bodies covered in tar from a severe oil spill. They had almost no chance of survival if not rescued promptly. To save these poor creatures, staff at the rescue center came up with a strange but surprisingly effective method. They used mayonnaise, a common kitchen condiment, to dilute the oil stuck in the turtles' digestive systems. This method helped the turtles naturally expel the oil instead of becoming blocked and dying slowly.
Although it may sound unrelated, this approach was surprisingly effective, proving that human creativity,
when combined with readily available natural items, can work wonders in seemingly hopeless situations.
Looking back at the entire story,
oil spills are not merely accidental occurrences but also a clear warning about humanity's responsibility to the planet. Solutions like coconut coir in the Philippines, human hair, the sea swarm robot, or the oleo sponge from the Argonne Laboratory all show great potential in healing the disaster, but clearly, they are still not enough to completely solve the problem.
The real challenge lies in the need for humans
to act faster, hit smarter, and most importantly, value nature more. The Philippines has demonstrated a valuable lesson that even seemingly discarded items like coconut shells can become effective tools for saving the seas. This reminds us that sometimes the solution isn't found in cutting-edge technologies or high costs, but in the familiar things around us, if we know how to utilize them properly.
Perhaps the most surprising thing in all these stories is not the results these solutions bring,
but how humans learn from nature itself to protect it. From the mayonnaise method for turtles in Israel to coconut coir cleaning the seas in the Philippines, every disaster brings a profound lesson about the harmony between humans and nature. It is how we gradually realize that to save the planet, we need not only technology but also humility and reverence for what nature bestows. From those extraordinary efforts, oil spills are not just challenges but also opportunities for humanity to recognize the power of creativity. The Philippines turned coconut husks into saviors. Israel used young egg to revive sea turtles, all reminding us that this planet can still be saved if we act kindly and cherish what is closest. The lesson lies not only in the outcome but also in how we accompany nature to protect it. It's strange how many things seemingly worthless can change the lives of many creatures. And if you find this information interesting, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to the Beyond the Veil OSEP. Thank you for watching until the end, and see you next time.